ओम ज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देवतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतुसे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। सभी भक्तों का हार्दिक स्वागत है। So we welcome everyone for today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So today we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, second chapter and verse number 16. Verse number 15 we discussed yesterday. Yam hina vityantete purusham purusharsham samadukha sukham dhiram samritvaya kalpate. So one who is actually sober person, dhira. So he is not affected by the dualities of material existence, dukkha and sukha. And without being disturbed, he remains steady in the execution of his devotional service. And in this way, he becomes eligible for liberation. Amritvaya kalpate. So Amritvaya kalpate means he becomes eligible for liberation, or Amritvaya means he becomes eligible for nectar. What is real nectar? Real nectar is Krishna consciousness. So that actual pure form of Krishna consciousness, in which one develops affection or love, power for the Supreme Lord, and one becomes eager. One eagerly engages himself in the chanting of the holy name, and Shravanam Kirtana. One eagerly engages himself in the service of the Supreme Lord. That kind of eagerness or that kind of uh, taste is actual nectar, pure form of Krishna consciousness. That is Amritvaya Kalpata. And who is eligible to taste, who is eligible or qualified to receive, to get that kind of nectar of Krishna consciousness is explained in this verse. Yamhina Vityantete, one who is undisturbed, one who is not affected with the dualities of material existence. He remains equipoised in both the conditions, happiness and pains, material happiness and material pains. That means he remains steady in the execution of his devotional service. Such a person becomes dhira, or a truly sober person, and then he can taste the nectar of Krishna consciousness. And what is the meaning of remaining equipoised, or the meaning of remaining not getting affected by the duality of material existence? We already discussed last 3-4 days. That does not mean that one cannot experience the happiness or distress, pains or pleasures of this material existence. That is not the meaning. Although a self-realized soul, or a person who is actually tasting the nectar of Krishna consciousness, or one who is eligible for liberation, or who is eligible for tasting the pure form of Krishna consciousness, he, when the situation comes, material situations, whether good or bad, whether of happiness or distress, he can also identify. He is also experiencing those things, but he does not, because he doesn't identify himself with this material body and mind, so he does not get affected by those dualities. That is the meaning of dhira. So he knows the situation. It's not that he becomes otherwise. If a person, if somebody thinks that to become equipoised means one should not be experiencing the happiness, one should not feel the attraction for material temptations, or one should not feel the distress or pains. So that is like becoming a dull matter, inert matter. No, a Krishna conscious person is not a dull person. He has the emotions, he has the feeling, and he has desires also. He also has feelings within his heart, so he can feel all those things. But because of his spiritual strength, he is able to control those feelings. He is able to. He is not affected by those feelings. Just like very simple example, there are many devotees who remain lifelong celibate. They become brahmacharis and sannyasis. Lifelong, they never indulge in any kind of sexual activities. But that does not mean that they are important. They are not important. If required, they can produce hundreds of children. But that means they have these feelings. But because they are situated in a platform of spiritual knowledge, so with the help of spiritual knowledge, with that strength, they very well understand that this is not a good business. This is a material activity, and I'm not supposed to indulge in these activities unnecessarily. Uh, or and This is also applicable for the ideal grahastha bhakta, ideal grahastha householder devotee also. He also one householder devotee, grahastha devotee, who is perfectly situated in the platform of spiritual knowledge. He also does not indulge in any kind of materialistic activities if it is not required. And just like ideal householder devotee means he engages in sex life only for producing Krishna conscious children. That's all. That is ideal example, which is very, very difficult in this fallen age, but that is the standard. So the point is that uh, this to remain equipoised or to not get affected by the material dualities, uh, with to not get affected by happiness and distress, pains and pleasures of this material existence does not mean that the person becomes he does not experience all this. He can experience, but he can tolerate it. He is not bewildered by this. That is the meaning. And how he is not bewildered? Because of his spiritual strength. And spiritual strength comes by spiritual knowledge, which we get from Bhagavad Gita, and also by spiritual practices. When one engages himself in the practice of Krishna consciousness by nicely chanting Hare Krishna, by taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, by serving Krishna, by hearing from devotees,
મારામાં નકુલ ચૌહાણ
by,
છે.
by following regulatory principles nicely, in that way, the spiritualist or a devotee, he is able to develop uh, spiritual strength. He becomes spiritually powerful, and in this way, he is able to tolerate the situations, material dualities, both happiness and distress. Both the situations should be tolerated, and a spiritual personality, a spiritualist, is able to tolerate both the situations. And in this way, he becomes. That is why he is called as Dhira, and then he becomes eligible for happiness. So now today's verse number 16, Lord Krishna is further explaining, or Lord Krishna is very merciful, so he is going to help us. He is going to make us understand how to become detached from materialistic activities. So in this particular verse, Krishna is going to analyze what is the benefit of, what is the value of materialistic activities, what is the value of materialistic activities, and what is the value of spiritual activities, so that we can choose, so that we can decide, no more material sense gratification, only Krishna conscious activities. Because when one can understand, suppose it's just like if there is if a student who is preparing for some competitive examination, if he is actually serious, so although he may feel attracted for going and playing cricket, going and engaging himself in sports activities, although a serious student also may feel attracted to go and watch movies, to go and mix with other boys and girls and do party, uh, and roam here and there. So he also may feel this attraction, but because he knows what is the value of such kind of activity. If my exam is going to come, my goal is very high. I'm trying to prepare for such a great competitive examination. So in front of this preparation, this playing cricket, playing chess, video games, and unnecessary engaging in social media and roaming around with my friends and going and watching movies, celebrating parties. So these all are nonsense things. This is simply a waste of time. I will unnecessarily uh, distract myself, and I will unnecessarily waste my valuable time. So he knows what is the value of all these things in front of his goal, because his goal is, he has kept a very high goal. That's why he is able to understand the value of all other things. So how much less valuable is to play around with his friends, to go and watch movies. But if a student who has no fixed goal in his life, no, he has not yet fixed his goal, some high goal in his life. He is simply just going to college just to pass the college, just to get a degree. So then he thinks that, okay, even if I go and watch movies and play with my friends and waste my times, and even if I engage in all kinds of nonsense activities, still I'm going to pass my examination and I'm going to get the degree. So he cannot understand that uh, all these things, parties and going and moving with friends, these are all less valuable. He cannot understand. But a student who is really serious about making his career wonderful, so he sets his goal very high goal. So in front of that goal, he can understand these things are of less value to him. Similarly, a person who is actually having true spiritual knowledge, he understands what is my goal. My goal is to develop complete love for the Supreme Lord. My goal is to uh, free my heart completely from all kinds of nasty material desires. That is my goal of life. So he knows the value of that particular goal. That if I become purely Krishna conscious, and if I can situate myself in pure form of Krishna consciousness, and if I can develop complete love for the Supreme Lord, and that is like pure nectar, that is like pure gold. Whereas in comparison to that nectar of serving Krishna's lotus feet, that nectar of deriving spiritual happiness by serving the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. In comparison to this, all these nonsense sense gratification business, which gives just a temporary, insignificant material happiness, this is all nothing, useless. It has no value at all. It has no value at all. It's just like a comparison between, uh, suppose millions of rupees in front of 1 rupee. And that is the comparison. So who will get attracted to a job by which you can get just some few hundreds of rupees, and rather one will be attracted to do something by which one can earn millions of rupees. Uh, So in this way, by understanding the value of both the activities, material activities as well as spiritual activities, one can become determined. One can develop the spiritual strength to reject all those activities which are of very less value or which are of no value. Actually speaking, all the material activities are of no value at all, and all the spiritual activities, that means those kinds of activities which can enable us to purify our heart so that we can elevate our consciousness to a pure platform of Krishna consciousness. So those kind of activities are of maximum value to us. So that's why a spiritualist who knows these things, a devotee, he knows very well all these things. That's why he is able to tolerate the temptations of this material existence. He is able to say no to all kinds of nasty material activities which may entangle him in this material world. So that's why Krishna is very mercifully giving us this analysis in this particular verse, so that we can understand that those material activities which are material in nature, what is their value in front of those spiritual activities which are in connection with the Supreme God. So this is very nice verse. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. Uvayorapi drishtvantas dvanyos tattvadarshibhi. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, or in simple words, you can understand that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no value. No endurance means there is no value. And of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. That means the result or the earnings which you get by engaging in spiritual activity, that remains permanent. That is eternal. That's why there is no change. So this they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So who have concluded? Although Krishna himself is the supreme greatest authority uh, in this manner, in this matter, but Krishna, when he is speaking, he is also quoting Tattvadarshis. So those who are seers of the truth, those who are seers of the truth. So those who can see the truth, they are actually intelligent people. Those who are Tattvadarshi. Tattva means truth, and Darshibhi means one who can see the truth. So those who are seers of the truth, that means they know what is right, what is wrong. So they have concluded this. That is their conclusion, Arjuna. It's not just I am saying. Although if you are also saying, that is sufficient, because all the seers of truth, they are dependent upon you, my dear Krishna. But Krishna, being the supreme greatest authority, she is teaching us. This is also one important lesson, that any bona fide authority, when they speak on the special subject matter, they never say that this is my opinion. They never say that this is what I think it should be like this. They always quote the previous authorities. They will always quote that according to such and such Mahajana, such and such previous authority, great Acharya, or according to Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, according to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. They always quote like this. Because when the knowledge comes from a perfect source, it can never it can have no defects. But if we give manufacture if we manufacture some kind of knowledge, it may have it not it just it may, but it must have some kind of defects. It cannot be purely perfect. It is not possible, because we are human being, and it is said to err is human. That means a human being is supposed to commit some kind of mistakes. All the human beings, not just human beings, all the living entities who are in this material world, including the great demigods, so they all the living entities within this material existence, whether human beings or demigods, so they have this tendency, four defects they have. What are those four defects? That everyone has imperfect senses. And because of having imperfect senses, uh, they get illusion. They come into illusion. And because when they get into illusion, so they commit mistakes. And to hide the mistakes, they do cheating. Cheating propensity is there. That's why with these imperfect senses, which leads a living conditioned living entities into illusion, and because of which he commits so many mistakes, and then to hide the mistake, he has the cheating propensity. Such kind of person, conditioned soul, cannot give pure and complete and perfect knowledge. And so that's why if you want to get perfect and complete knowledge, the only source, best way is to approach a bona fide authority, spiritual master, who is coming in line with the disciplic succession, and to approach the Vedic literatures. Because Vedic literatures, the knowledge of Vedic literatures, it is apaurushaya. Apaurushaya means it has not been given by any of the living entity from this material existence. This knowledge comes from directly from a spiritual realm, The spiritual realm means it comes directly from the absolute truth, supreme absolute truth, who is the supreme Lord Narayana. So that's why Krishna is also giving teaching us the lesson that he is analyzing the value of material activities and spiritual activities, but he is not giving his own opinion. Uh, he is telling to anyos tattvadarshibhi. This is the conclusion of the tattvadarshibhi, the seers of the truth. So now what is the conclusion? What they have concluded with their perfect vision. Uh, So Krishna said, Na sato vidyate bhava. Bhava means value, endurance. So na asata. Na asata. Asata means of the non-existent, that means this material body. So of the material body, vidyate, there is na bhava. There is no value of this material body. So there is no value of this material body means if any activity which is done for this material body, and what does it mean? Activity to do for material body. The meaning is that any activity which we do to make our body comfortable, to make our body to get some material enjoyment, sense gratification, or to situate ourselves comfortably materially. So that kind of activities have no value. Why it has no value? Because it's very logical. It is very logical and simple reason. Nothing kind of rocket science. No, very simple. Krishna says, na asataha. Because this material body, it is non-existent. It is temporary. It's not permanent. So it's because it is not permanent. Simply, this is the only reason. Because this body is not permanent. It's temporary. So it doesn't matter whatever you do for the body, whatever best you can do, whatever you do, it may be the best thing you can do. Ultimately, it is going to get destroyed. That's why an intelligent person, he understands what is the use, what is the use of my endeavors of my life if I simply spend all my time, energy, and intelligence resources uh, just to make this temporary material body comfortable. What is the use? And what is the use to put in so much endeavor and effort and to invest so much of my time just to get some cheap material enjoyment, which is temporary? Because the material body is temporary, so material senses are temporary. So if material body and senses are temporary, so whatever enjoyment we will get by utilizing all of our time, energy, and intelligence, that will also be temporary. It's very simple. You take any example, any enjoyment in the young age, the young boys and girls, they expect so much material enjoyment. But what is the use? After 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, everything is finished. No more young body. Everyone will be forced to become old. And as soon as you become old, no more material enjoyment you can get from this body. But rather the suffering will increase because the desire will still be there. That's why those who try their hard to enjoy the materialistic sense gratification when they are young, the more they suffer when they become old, because the desire does not vanish. The desire is still there within the heart, rather because they have engaged in so much materialistic enjoyment, so much in fulfilling the materialistic tendencies when they were young. So their desire to enjoy material world increases multifold. It increases more and more. That's why when they become old, then when they crosses the age 45, 50, 55, 60 years, then because they don't have the capacity, they cannot enjoy, they cannot eat a lot, they cannot just roam around, they have the desire to go all over the world, and they have the desire to meet with so many materialistic friends and enjoy all kinds of sense gratification, drinking, intoxication, illicit sex, all these things they want. This desire is there, is still within the heart, but because the material body does not support that, so they internally they become very frustrated. That's why those who have led their life without following the religious principles, only for the purpose of enjoying sense gratification, they become frustrated. They become very miserable. On the other hand, those who adopt the life of devotional service, so although during young days, it becomes difficult for them to be able to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness. It remains difficult for them for certain years, a certain month, for few months or few years. It is difficult for them to be able to tolerate the urges of mind, demands or temptations of material sense gratification. But anyone who gets associated with devotees of the Lord, and in this manner, by getting proper spiritual knowledge, if some or other they can control these urges uh, of their senses when they are young, and still when if they can go on with the execution of their Krishna conscious activities. If they take very seriously chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and if they strictly follow the four regulative principles, then they very easily overcome all these temptations. And as they grow old, rather they become more happy, jubilant, and they become more properly situated, spiritually situated. That's why in Krishna consciousness, when a person becomes old, so actually he becomes more young. He becomes more young. Although the body grows old, but his enthusiasm, his determination, and mentally he becomes very peaceful or happy in the execution of the devotional service to Krishna. That's why we see there are many devotees who have been in Krishna consciousness movement, who have been following the four regulative principles and all the rules regulation, getting up early in the morning, chanting their rounds very nicely, and following the rules and regulations. So after 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, as they grow old, they become more effulgent, they become more intelligent, and they become more sober person. They can control their urges, and they become more compassionate towards others, and they become more enlightened. Whatever they speak, even little bit they speak, that impacts the heart of anyone who is sincere to advance in Krishna consciousness. This we have practically experienced, and this is my practical experience. Just like I am, although I am, I give so many classes, so many, we speak so much, but it does not transform the heart of conditioned soul. It's very difficult. But as a fully self-realized personality who is a pure devotee, who has dedicated his life completely in the mission of Srila Prabhupada, who has perfectly followed the principles of Krishna consciousness, who has taken complete shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, that means whose heart has become completely pure, their one or two statements are powerful enough to inspire a conditioned soul to practice Krishna consciousness with wholeheartedly throughout his life. Even in their absence, a person can remain actively engaged in Krishna consciousness. That we see in the example of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada lived for 10 years, and he gave instructions, he initiated his disciples, and after his disappearance, his disciples, they led their life in pure Krishna consciousness throughout all their life, 50 years, 55 years. That is the effect. They never forgot the instruction of Srila Prabhupada because he was so powerful. He was, although he was, Srila Prabhupada apparently externally, a pure devotee never becomes an old person. We cannot say this, but although apparently he was an old personality, 70 years old when he went to America, and but he still he initiated young boys and girls, American and European young boys and girls, and his instructions, his power, his kirtan, his Krishna consciousness affected their hearts so much that they dedicated their life completely in the service of Krishna. So that is the impact of a person, a power of a person who has developed complete purity by executing a devotional service to Krishna. So this is the difference. So that's why the important thing is nasato vidyate bhava. Because this material body, asata, this body is asat. Asat means not actually in existence. This body is it's not that it's not in existence. It is existing, but the false conception that I'm this body, that is actually a false misconception. That is misconception. So our spiritualist, he knows very well that this body is temporary, so there is no use, no value to fulfill the demands of sense gratification. So such kind of spiritualist, she only engages in that much sense gratification which is absolutely necessary for keeping the body and soul together. Uh, because he knows nasito vidyate bhava. Then what does he does? Where does he engages himself? His energy, consciousness, efforts. Where does he put? He puts all his energy and consciousness for the sataha. Na abhavo vidyate sataha, for the execution of spiritual activities. That is the symptom of a perfectly situated devotee on the spiritual platform. Okay, so we'll discuss more about this particular verse tomorrow. So today we'll stop here. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Yes, yes.
Prabhu, apart from four regulative principles, what else were you telling yesterday? Like devotee should not eat chocolates and what
That is
were
also
you
included in
mentioning?
four regulative principles. So four regulative principles have, in the beginning, we encourage people to at least follow grossly these four regulative principles. Grossly means at gross level we should not break this. We should not perform sinful activity. That means no meat eating. But when one becomes serious, when one is starts chanting the chin downs, then we encourage them that you should not eat onion garlic also. That is also at certain level breaking the regulative principles. And chocolate contains intoxication. So the principle of this intoxication, no intoxication, means no chocolate, no coffee, no tea. That is the meaning. And no meat eating means no onion garlic also. No gambling means uh, uh, no share market. And in sports management, sports events, don't put your money to earn more money. So that is also breaking the regulatory principles. And illicit sex, including a physical association of young boys and girls, that is gross regulatory principles. But one should not mix also, and artificial means also, and watching pornographies, movies, uh, which promotes such kind of, which seduces, which agitates one's mind. So all these things should also be uh, avoided. Then one is able to strictly following four regulative principles means one should avoid breaking the principles at gross level, and also one should avoid breaking the principle at subtle level. That is the meaning of strictly following four regulative principles. Okay.
If a movie did not contain any vulgar content, should we
all the
can we?
movies all the movies which are not in Krishna consciousness, more or less it has some content which are vulgar. So although vulgar means not just vulgar like this illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating. Vulgar means third class, dirty, nasty thing. So anything which is not in Krishna consciousness, that is nasty. What is the use? To be very frank, this gross sex. One is gross sex means physical association with boys and girls, and subtle sex means this family relationship. That is also. So in the movies, in the TV serials, what they promote all kinds of these things. So it should be avoided. And another point is, it is unnecessary a waste of time, because a person who is serious, she never wastes his time. Here, better to utilize your time by chanting Hare Krishna, by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, or by studying your college books, because you have to get a good job. So, in order to maintain our material body, in order to maintain our family, whatever material activities are required, we can do those activities. But Krishna conscious person, even if he wants some kind of entertainment, he does it in a spiritual manner. Just like if you have hankering for music, then listen to so many nice kirtans, so many Vaishnava songs, so many Ashtakam, Damodar Ashtakam, such a nice song. If you have uh, you want entertainment, come to temple. Of course, those who are fortunate, who are especially living in big cities like Mumbai, you can just, if you want entertainment, come to ISKCON Jew temple. Evening, such a nice kirtan goes on. When I was in my early days, when I used to feel disturbed, so I simply used to come in front of Sri Radha Rasbari, used to sit there and just closing my eyes, I used to just sing the kirtan. It is so wonderful. All the disturbances is released. So even if we want entertainment, it can be done in a Krishna conscious manner. That is allowed. But we should avoid to entertain ourselves in material way, even if it grossly, if it does not breaks the principles, because that will not going to help us. That will also create material consciousness. Of course, what I am telling that is an ideal standard. Uh, Our goal should be like this. We may not be at present. We may not be able to do it, but we should prepare that one day. Yes, one day I will reach that goal. So don't be discouraged. Yeah, it's a gradual process, but try your best. Okay. Anything else?
Very cool. Thank you so much, bro.
Very good, sir.